Hello out there folks, hope you're all doing well. It's been a while since I've made a video. For several reasons I've been away from sim racing. One of those reasons being I've been going out and getting really sideways in real life. But that's for another video. What I'd like to talk to you about today is, of course, the new 1.6 release of Automobilista 2, which has been, what is it now, half a year in the making, and there is so much to talk about. There are new features, there are new cars, there are new tracks, there are so many different implementations of physics and improvements that have been made, and wonderful things like presets, which is a lovely feature that gives you access to all of the different rules for all sorts of different racing disciplines. But there's just one feature that I want to concentrate on today, and I want to explain why this feature is so important, especially to me, because I'm quite proud of this, because I've actually had a little bit of a hand in making this come into the sim, if you like. As I bought into the beta program, so I've been following the progress of this for 6 months or whatever it's been, and also why I think this feature should be an industry standard feature available in all sims, because it really solves a big problem that a lot of sims have, and that is when it comes down to driving in changing weather conditions against the AI. So what this feature is, well, I'll show you how to get to it first. So if you start off your main screen, you can come to single race, set up a race with the AI. This is specifically for racing against AI. And there's been some amazing work done on the AI in general in this update. There really has. So you come down, you select your car or your car classes. If you want multi-class, you select your track. There you go, you select your session settings if you want them, and your weather. And notice I've got two different types of weather there on this particular one. Your rules, and then we come to our opponents, and herein lies the brand new feature, and I'm so chuffed to see this in the sim, because I've been going on about this idea that I had for about 2 years, and I've been watching from afar as to see the development of 1.6, and I'm over the moon to see this feature put in there, because it was a suggestion, one of my suggestions, and I was banging on about it for over a year, and eventually the head dev, Renata Simoni of Reza Studios, saw one of my suggestions and got back to me in the comments on the Reza forums and said, actually, that's not a bad idea. So I'm well chuffed. So it is the AI wet skill scaler, and what this is, it allows you to vary the AI's ability in the wet relative to their AI skill in general. So if they're racing in the dry, and I'm going to go into the reasons why this is so important, not just for this sim, but why I think it should be in a lot of different sims. Because previously, when racing in the wet in Automobilista 2, I had some problems. So, for example, I'm using the GTE class here. I know they're not some of the newer cars, but I'm using these because, one, I like what's going on with the physics development of these over 1.6. And two, this particular class, at one point in Automobilista 2's development, I could set them to a certain skill level in the dry, and I would be having a decent race with them. I could sit mid-pack all the way through the race, have a decent race with them if I set them to something like 110% on the skill level. However, the problem came when it started to rain. So if I was doing a race like I've got here that went from sunny to wet, as soon as the rain came down and we all changed our tyres, the AI suddenly slowed down to the point where there was no point in me having a race with them if it changed to wet weather, because as soon as it started to rain, I would just overtake the whole field, and the rest of the race would just be you know, there'd be no point really, no challenge. And so you might be thinking, well, okay, well, if you want a wet race, why not, when you have your wet race rather than a dry wet race, why not just go knock the skill up to 120%? You could do that, but there's also a problem with that. If you're an alien and you're really fast and you're already at 120%, what do you do then? Because you go for your wet race and you're still, the whole race, you're going to be faster than them. Loads faster. Now, they have been calibrated. The AI has been calibrated in the wet now. And they're much closer to the skill level they have in the dry. But also, the problem comes in that no matter how well Reza or any other developer was to calibrate the AI skill in the wet, you're always going to have drivers out there, you know, real life players, who their ability in the wet varies from they're about the same as they are in the dry, or they're right and centre and they're actually lightning in the wet, or like a friend of mine who will openly admit he's not good in the wet at all. So they can't really compensate for that. So if you're already at 120% up here and you're an alien, you can't get the skill level up in the wet. However, you'll see I've got my wet scaler set to 90 here. Now, default is 1 times. And if you're at 120% and you find them a bit too slow in the wet, you can then take that up by 20%. Or by 20 if you like. If you find that they're far too fast for you in the wet, you can take it down to all the way down to 50%. I don't know why it's not 50-50 either way. I'm just guessing that Reza have decided that a lot of people, because they don't race in the wet as much, are generally going to be worse in the wet. So that makes sense as to why they're only giving you 20% higher but 50% lower. Anyway, so the AI are calibrated really well now, but I have found that with the GTEs as they are now, they're actually, because they used to be a lot slower in the wet, they're now they're a little bit faster than me in the wet, relative to, you know, how I keep with them in the dry. So, for instance, I did a couple of qualifying sessions with the AI, with the GT3s at Road Atlanta in the dry, and I qualified 18th at 110% skill, so that's mid-pack or mid to late pack out of 26 cars, and my lap time was 1 minute 17.7, and I was very pleased with that. But when I did a wet qualifying session with them, my time was 1:27.8. The AI at slowest were 1:26.8, so much faster than me, and the fastest was 1:24.7. So what I did is I came in here and just knocked this scaler down by 10 to 90 and went out and did another wet qualifying session. And my time got a bit better because I've done it twice, so obviously I got a bit faster. And my qualifying time, I qualified 19th, which is very similar to the 18th place I got in the dry. And my time was 1:26.4. The AI at slowest were 1:27.3, a little bit slower than me. And the fastest AI was 1:16.38, which is quite a bit faster than me. But it meant that I qualified, you know, mid to late pack. So that was able to suit me perfectly. And I did a race going from dry to wet, and it was fantastic. It was really good. And the reason I think this is so important is because it allows me to use changing weather now. Before, you've got an amazing weather system, as you might be seeing from the replay now. In Automobilista 2, you can have all types of weather. You can have anything from sunny to overcast, storms, fog, the whole lot. But you just couldn't really use that. You couldn't have, maybe you could have a race in one of those conditions, but you couldn't have a race with several different weather spots. So you can fill up these weather spots. You can have up to, let's see, 4 different weather spots over the course of a race. but they were useless if the AI is just going to slow down or speed up so much that you can't race them in either condition. What this has meant is that I can now fully utilise that weather system, changing weather when I'm racing against the AI. And the reason I think this should be an industry standard feature in all sims is because I've had this problem in other sims that have varying weather. So R Factor 2, for instance, in general, with a lot of the car classes, the AI were just too fast, or a little bit faster than me, but too fast in the wet all the time. Just couldn't keep with them. And you've got other sims as well, like ACC, which has got changing weather. It'd be useful for that. iRacing, which has got pretty well calibrated AI. But again, you know, if I was, say, someone who was really, really slow in the wet, I just wouldn't be able to keep up. Or if I was someone really fast, the AI would be too slow. So that is why I think it is a fantastic feature. And I hope in future to do a stream or record a race in the changing weather with that AI really fine-tuned. So in retrospect, I could have gone a little bit lower than 90. I could have gone down to about 88 or something like that. But I'd like to tune up and do a video in the future. Let me know what you think of this feature, and thank you, Reza, for listening to my little idea and then having, you know, the expertise to actually implement it. It's fantastic. It has totally just opened up the game for me. I'm so chuffed I can now use this changeable weather. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you find this useful or enjoyable and you want to see more of my videos, give us a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you out there on track soon, hopefully. All the best.